Hey guys. Mwah. So today I thought we would do some makeup, but while we did some makeup I would talk about giving birth, my birth story, I guess like a bit of background as well, like leading up to giving birth. My son is literally asleep just here right now. It's his nap time, so you know, working mama, get it done. This video is giving me anxiety, like so much anxiety, because like everyone and anyone, if they haven't had a kid, if they have had a kid, has an opinion on pregnancy, having children, giving birth. Like everyone has an opinion. So I get that your opinion might be different from mine. You might have done something different. You might have had the best pregnancy in the world and the best childbirth in the world, or you might have had the most horrible. But like, if we can just be kind and nice and just remember that everyone is different and everyone goes through things differently, and just because I experience something doesn't mean it will be the same for you. But I've had so many people message me and speak to me. I'm getting emotional. Sorry to start the video, I don't want to like cry. Message me being like, you helped me so much, because I was just, if you follow me on Instagram, I was just sharing what was happening to me kind of as it was happening to me and everything. And I feel like pregnancy is not really talked about, and what happens isn't really talked about. It's made out to be this big like happy thing, you're glowing and stuff, and honey, I was not glowing. I was not glowing. And I've had people message me like, I kept my baby because you showed me that it was okay for it to be hard and everything. Oh my god, I think oh my god, I'm trying not to get emotional right now and everything. Like, I thought, let's do some makeup so I don't get too emotional and I don't blather on forever, because like it's gonna give me a distraction and everything. But yeah, let's get into this video and do a makeup look while we have a chat. Okay, so hi, yeah, so obviously I'm gonna start off with my eyebrows. I've already like put some moisturizer on and put some eye cream on. Obviously I'm not gonna go into too much detail with what I'm doing, but you know, I'll kind of touch on some little things here and there with what I'm doing and stuff. But yeah, so I guess some background on me while I do an eyebrow. Where I start this off is just that I'm 25, so when I was pregnant I was 24. I had my birthday while I was pregnant. Woo, crazy fun. But yeah, and obviously my family has a history of big babies on both sides of my family and everything. And let me just say that I've always wanted to be a mum. Like always. Like when people ask me like, what do you want to do after university, like where do you see yourself in 5 years, I was like, being a mum. That's all I ever wanted for my life. Like that was my main goal and aspiration, was to be a mum. So some people would say like, oh, if your pregnancy was so hard and blah, 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 like why are you even thinking about doing it again and stuff, because that's literally all I ever wanted. Like that's all I ever wanted, and that's still like, I had a bad experience. And do I want to be a mum again? Yeah. Will I get pregnant again? Yeah. Crazy, I know. Craziness, I know, but I would literally do it all over again. Like not even hesitate to do it all over again. Like it's the best thing ever. And yeah, it was hard, but it was worth it in a way. So obviously found out I was pregnant. It was a pretty big shock. Try not to knock stuff over. Pretty big shock and everything, but we were super happy, and there was never any doubt for us like what was gonna happen and what we were gonna do and everything. And like I did it while on the FaceTime to my mom and stuff, and yeah. And so we found out, and obviously like you call the doctors and they're like, I'm pregnant, and then they book you in. And then obviously here, I live in London, I live just outside of London actually. You kind of like have to choose what hospital you want to go to, which was like a foreign concept for me, because like I grew up in a small town. There's like one hospital, there's one school. You don't really have the options, you don't really have the choice. So it was really funny like having the choice and like having to like look up hospitals online and ask people that I knew what was a good hospital to have a baby at and everything. And I feel like we ended up making a really good decision, because obviously this was all during COVID. So, oh god, yeah, and then I knocked over. This was all during COVID, and like a lot of people have had really bad experiences because they couldn't bring their partner to appointments, they couldn't have their partner in the hospital. But because the hospital that I chose was so big, I could have Junior there the whole time. He came to every appointment, he was there for the whole process of the birth and everything. So like, it's always a really good idea to look into like where you're going, what kind of facilities they have and everything. Don't just go for, oh, that's the local hospital, like that will do. Like, you can choose where you go. It doesn't have to be your like nearest hospital. Obviously you don't want to go too far out, because if anything happens and you have to get an ambulance, obviously you want to be there quick. So yeah, we were going to the hospital, we were going to our regular appointments and stuff, and everything was looking good, everything was looking fine. And then they were telling me they were worried my baby was too small, and obviously like, oh, he says hi. He knows we're talking about him. And obviously that was a bit of a shock to me. I was a bit of a shock to the system. I was like, oh, because everyone in my family has the big babies. I was a big baby. I was literally £10.4. My little brother was £10.5. My older brother was like £9 something. We're all like very big. So that was kind of a shock, and obviously that's quite worrying, because like when you have a small baby, it can be like due to things like preeclampsia. Preeclampsia, also I'm not going to get into all the medical terms and stuff, but like basically it means like your baby's not getting enough like nutrients through the like placenta and umbilical cord and things like that. And they were worried that my placenta was it was my placenta was a bit squished or something. The baby was squishing it, and that he wasn't getting enough nutrients. So of course then this meant more appointments and specialists and things like that. So I ended up seeing a specialist that was for my blood pressure. I had high blood pressure. I'd never suffered with high blood pressure before in my life, and it's one of the key indicators for preeclampsia. So we went to a specialist, and I think I must have been around 3 months by the time we finally got to see a specialist. It was very hard to get an appointment to see a specialist. Like the waiting list was crazy long and everything. And yeah, it was a big like hoo-ha trying to get an appointment. And then we eventually did. And I'm not gonna lie, it was probably the most horrible appointment I've ever had. He was like, oh yeah, you probably have gestational diabetes. Your baby's really big. And I was like, what? I like kind of had been thrown through a loop. And obviously like, I just like cried all the way home because I was so confused. I was like, I've been told for months that my baby is too small. Like, and obviously that's a real big like worry and a big stress on me, that my baby's too small and everything like that. Like it's really, because obviously a baby's too small, like premature births and things like that. And then just to be told that I probably have diabetes and that my baby's probably too big by someone that was just supposed to like check my blood pressure, like was just supposed to be about my, if I had preeclampsia or not, was just like, what is going on? Like, what the hell? So I'm just gonna do my eyebrows, fill them in, and then I will be right back. Okay, so I just did my brows and I've just concealed underneath and on top of them. And yeah, so obviously I was like going through it. I was just like an emotional mess. And bear in mind, I did not have a nice pregnancy. I was extremely sick in pretty much every way that you can get sick during pregnancy. I was sick, like vomiting, heartburn, stomach aches. Like I'm not one for being dramatic. Like I'm not really like, oh, I'm ill. Ooh. So when I say I nearly called 111 because I thought I was having a heart attack, I nearly called 111 because I thought I was having a heart attack. Like bruh, it was bad. I was super ill. And do you know what, I was kind of happy that we were on lockdown because I could not have worked. I literally could not have worked. So I'm just gonna take the crisp finish from P. Louise. This is in the shade Smoking Hot, and I'm just gonna like outline where I'm gonna do my graphic liner. So yeah, I just kind of felt like no one really knew what was going on with me. Like, was my baby big? Was my baby small? And like, it was hard because all I could do really was wait to my next scan appointment. So I got to the next scan and the lady was like, your baby's not small anymore, but you're completely average. Like you're literally average. Like I think I was like the tiniest bit above average, and that was it. So obviously that felt like a weight off my shoulders and everything. And then basically, if you like, there's like for gestational diabetes is like pregnant lady diabetes. Like some women get diabetes when they're pregnant, and then when they're not, completely goes away. It's like if you're like if you're black or if you're Asian, it like ups your percentage of getting it. So they pretty much test everyone that's black and Asian and has a BMI over a certain amount. So obviously in my head that guy had already told me I had digestive diabetes probably, so I was kind of like, oh my god. And then again, it took ages for them to test me. It took so long, and then I finally did it, and you have to fast and everything. And then they couldn't take my blood. My veins have always been very, very difficult to take blood from. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not really a veiny person. They're kind of like really in me, and they couldn't do it. I had like 4 different nurses try and take my blood, and they just couldn't do it. Like, it just was not happening. Like, they tried my hand as well as my arms, and it just was not happening. So I was like, great, I just like fasted for nothing. So then I had to like go back and have it done again and everything. And then it was like so late in my pregnancy. It was like, I think it ended up being like a month later than I should have found out. I found out that I in fact had digestive diabetes. So not only did I have really high blood pressure, I had digestive diabetes. So like, high blood pressure makes a baby too small, and digestive diabetes makes a baby too big because the baby absorbs too much sugar. So they were kind of like fighting each other in my body, I guess. But then obviously digestive diabetes meant a huge change in diet, medication, the possibility of insulin injections. Luckily I never had to take injections. It was just tablets I had to take. But then I had low iron throughout my pregnancy as well, so I was taking so much medication all the time when I was so ill. And then as I got more pregnant, my blood pressure got worse, my face swell up, my feet, my hands, everything. Like, do you know how many people have messaged me like, have you lost weight? And I'm like, no honey, I just not pregnant no more. Like, my face swelling's gone down finally and everything. Like, it's crazy, literally. So like, obviously overall I felt like I kind of been messed around a bit by the doctors in the hospital. And obviously when you have digestive diabetes, most of the time you're going to be induced. Like, it's almost guaranteed that you're going to be induced. So obviously I'd come to terms with that, and I was kind of fine with it. Like, kind of, it is what it is. Like, I couldn't do anything about it, and at the end of the day it was for my baby's health. And to make sure that he was going to be okay. And but obviously again, in my head I've still got in mind, you know, like, my family have big babies. My mom had a horrific birth with me. My brother was a Caesarean and everything. And obviously, like, they always say, you like, you know, it's not like genes, like, you're not gonna have the same pregnancy as your mother and everything. But obviously I'd already had such a hard time. I was like, God, if you love me, do not make me have a horrible pregnancy and a horrible birth. So yeah, it came time, and then my blood pressure was just getting higher and higher and higher, and I still hadn't been given a date for my induction. Everyone was kind of passing me around and kind of making it someone else's responsibility to like give me a final date and everything. And yeah, so that turned into a whole big mess, and I ended up in like a day clinic all day and stuff, and it just turned into this big palaver. But then finally, like 5 days before I was finally, like, I think it was like less than that, like, finally told like this was going to be in my induction date, and I had to call the hospital beforehand to make sure that they had a bed for me, and that I was going to be induced 38 weeks, so that's 2 weeks early, and that my baby was looking fine on the scan, but they just wanted to be sure. And I think it wasn't even a case of, you know, the entire diabetes thing. It was my blood pressure. They were really worried about my blood pressure because it was just getting higher and higher, and I still didn't have preeclampsia. It was just like high blood pressure, and they just really wanted like him out. Okay, so I just wanted to test it out and see if it would actually work and look good, but I've gone for like the tortoise shell effect on my eye. So I'm just gonna take the P. Louise paint now in Feedback, just on a little pencil brush, and kind of start building up the effect. But yeah, so like, knowing I was gonna be induced obviously took away some of the stress. Like, my waters weren't gonna break. Well, it wasn't very likely that they were gonna break at home, and then like I was gonna have to be rushed to hospital or anything like that. Like, I knew like when I had to pack my bag and everything like that. Like, it kind of took away some of the stress of the entire situation, you could say. But yeah, so obviously it came time to go to the hospital. My mum came up to London. Unfortunately, my mum couldn't come to the hospital. It was just Junior that could come. So my mum had to stay at our apartment. So she stayed at our apartment while we went to go be induced. Now, I don't really know anyone. One of my friends has been induced and everything like that, but like I didn't really ask that many questions about it or anything. I didn't really know that much about it really. Just obviously know that they kind of like they stimulate labor and then it happens and you give birth and stuff, and that apparently the synthetic drug that they give to make contractions is really painful. That's kind of like all I knew. I kind of didn't overly research it because I kind of wanted it to be a little bit like, I didn't want to research loads and watch loads of birthing videos and then get like really like, oh my god. I kind of just wanted to go, they'll tell me what I need to know, and if I don't need to know, I don't need to know it, kind of. That's just the kind of person I am, I guess. Like I didn't want to get really freaked out. I didn't want to watch like a million birthing videos and stuff and get completely freaked out basically. So like we obviously, the day came, we got up, we called, and yeah, we were all good to come in. They told us the time to come in, so obviously we got ready. I said bye to my mum and everything, and my bag was all packed, managed to not forget anything, which was good. Yeah, and off we went. So they popped us in like a little room that had another lady in it, so it was me and her and like a curtain between us. And it took quite a while for anyone to actually like come and see us, I guess. And then obviously they basically like put some monitors around my stomach and they want to check like how the baby is and everything before they get anything going, and that took quite a while. I think he was being a bit tricky, so that took like 2 goes and everything, and I think it took about like, I think we were there for like 3 hours before like they actually started the process of inducing me. So obviously then like there's midwives and there's doctors there's like a mixture. Like the midwives look after you and everything, and then the doctors do like, I guess, the more serious stuff, and like they have to give like the go ahead and the okay on stuff. So obviously like the doctor on duty came in and like introduced herself and everything. Like generally everyone was really friendly and really nice. There was only like one midwife that I wasn't a big fan of, but they changed hours, they changed shifts every 12 hours and we ended up being there for a long time. So yeah, it wasn't too bad, like I could kind of deal with it. So basically they explained to us that they were going to put in a pessary. So it goes in the vagina and it's like a little thing and it's got like a long tail, and it basically gets my contractions going, starts getting my body ready for giving birth, because obviously like you need all the stuff to happen that your body would normally be doing, like when you didn't even realize it, like when you'd be walking around and stuff, like your body would be getting ready for labor before your waters broke, and like you wouldn't even realize it. So like they need to like get all that going basically. So the pessary can stay in for up to 24 hours, and of course like I've heard people like it's in for like 2 hours and they're having contractions and they give birth and stuff. So I was still quite optimistic. I was still like, okay, cool. I wasn't in any pain and everything. So basically it did end up being in that for 24 hours. So I'm just gonna take my Made by Mitchell mini palette and I'm gonna take the shade Walters box just on a brush. So yeah, so I did end up having that in for 24 hours, and I think it was every 4 hours they came and checked on me and they monitored the baby. So they monitored my baby, they were giving me all of my medication, and they were checking my blood pressure throughout. So yeah, it was fine. I wasn't in any pain at all, hadn't started like contraction painful. The lady next to me had, and oh boy, she kept us entertained. When I tell you her painful moans sounded like sex moans, oh, we were dying, and like we were on FaceTime to my family and all my family was dying. I was recording it for them and everything, and I know you shouldn't laugh at other people's pain, but honestly when I tell you, it was the funniest thing. Oh, it was too funny, and that like thoroughly kept us entertained, like 100%. But yeah, and yeah, so obviously 12 hours they took it out because they don't like to check your vagina too much. So they said they weren't going to check it until it was time to take it out. So obviously it became that time. So it's the next day. I've already been in hospital over 24 hours at this point, and no, nothing. I think I was like 1 centimeter dilated. I was having like really irregular, really soft contractions that kind of just felt like a tiny little cramp. It didn't feel like anything really. So yeah, so obviously then they kind of discuss with you what the options are. They say, if you would like, you can have a cesarean. Like, so it was good that they informed me that I could do that, but obviously that was no, I do not want a cesarean. I was like, no. I was like, I'm fine, I'm not in any pain, like I'm completely fine, like we can keep going, which obviously is great. So then they discussed the other options with me, which was obviously to take a pill. It's not like oral, they do put it up your hoo-ha, and then that's for 12 hours that goes in and like takes effect for. So they popped one of those in, and then like that was me for the next 12 hours. Nothing changes, nothing at all. Baby's still the same, I'm still the same, literally nothing changes. Oh, I'm just taking the shade Halfway now and just kind of putting that on my dots, and then I'm just gonna blend it around them. Yeah, nothing changes. So again, she says to me, listen, like if you'd like a cesarean, the option is there. And yet again, I said to the doctor, no, I'm not in pain, like we can keep going, like it's fine. So she gives me another pill. I'm so sorry, I don't know what the pill's called, they just refer to it as the pill, so I think it has some like really long-winded name or something. So yeah, so I was like, we can keep going, like I'm all good. Like me and Junior was watching Netflix, so he's eating snacks. Like we were all good. The lady next door was keeping us entertained. So we were all good. So now I'm just going to take the shade Cocoa Pop, and again just pop that on where I've done my dots and then blend it out. So obviously we're having another 12 hours. It's starting to get one of those things now. I was like, oh, it's really hot in the hospital and I'm kind of over it now. Like I've been here like what, so it's like nearly been like 48 hours of like just kind of sitting in a bed, not doing much of anything, like just having hospital food and stuff, and it was just starting to get like a bit tedious, I guess. So then they decide, like they take it out because it's been another 12 hours, so I'm on my second one. They take it out, and the doctor, she was called Robin, and she was so nice. I love Robin, shout out Robin. And yeah, they take it out and she's like 1.5 centimeters dilated, she said, maybe. She said they're not sure if I went into the labor ward if they'd be able to break my waters. So at this stage I'm like, oh my god, like it's just in my head, I'm like cesarean, 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 cesarean is just churning around in my head, and I'm like, oh my god. So I'm like, right, I'm like to her, what do you think I should do? Because obviously I'm a pretty calm person, I'm pretty easygoing and everything, and these people, it's their job to do this. They see like probably like thousands of people a year have babies and stuff. I'm like, what do you think I should do? And she's like, let me speak to the head of the hospital, because we don't give people a third pill, like it's really rare, like it doesn't really happen, and I'm not sure if it's safe and everything. And I was like, okay. And she's like, the other option is we just take you into the labor ward and try and break your waters and see if we can do it or not. And I was like, okay then. So she goes and speaks to him, obviously, and at this point, like, you know, I'm still having like just really irregular contractions every now and again, nothing painful, like I'm completely fine, like I feel completely normal. I'm just a bit bored at that point, to be fair. And they do end up making the decision, right, they are going to take me to the labor ward, because you have to be 2 centimeters dilated for them to be able to break your waters, to be able to get in there and break your waters. And they're like, we're just going to take you in and we're going to try for it. So I was like, okay, let's go, like let's do this, let's try this. So they like, it's very dramatic, they like wheel you out and you have to grab all your stuff and you have to go. And the lady next to me was also at the stage where she was contracting. Well, she wasn't obviously at the same stage as me, because, you know, they weren't sure about me, and she was contracting very regularly and stuff, and like she was G to D, like she was good to go, she was about to have a baby and whatever. So we both went. I went just before her, and then obviously she went off and did her thing, and it would be lovely to know. I hope she had a good baby and had a good experience. Oh, Isaiah, pipe down. But yeah, so obviously we got there and we met our midwife that, you know, could possibly be giving birth to our baby basically. And she was really, really nice and like explained everything really, really well. Like when we got there, an anesthesiologist, so that's the person that specializes in like epidurals, came and spoke to us and was just like, if you do plan on having an epidural, like you should have pethidine, which is a drug, like a painkiller beforehand. We advise to kind of like escalate in that way. And I was like, okay, cool, great, and everything. And at this time I was like, but I don't think I'm gonna be having an epidural. And she was like, yeah, it's fine, just like want you to know and everything. They were in no way pushy or anything. Like in no way did I feel like at any point that I had been like forced into anything, that I'd been like pushed or coerced. It was always like my option. I felt like it was never like, oh, you should do this or you should do that. Like people only gave me their opinion or anything like when I'd actually asked for it. So now I'm just gonna do some graphic liner. I'm gonna use my Makeup by Tammy. Shout out Tammy for coming out with her own makeup line. I've used some of the brushes and stuff and they are amazing. So I'm really, really excited to try this out. I'm gonna use this shade here. And then for the lighter bit that I wanna do, I am gonna take my soooo liner and I'm gonna mix it with this. I think, yeah, I mixed it with this to make it like a white peach kind of color. Okay, boom, graphic liner is all on. I ended up actually just using the peachy shade as the lightest color and then mixing a bit of the peach, the red and the light brown together for like a more of an orangey color, because you know, color through and whatever. So now obviously I'm gonna start on my base makeup. So I'm gonna go in with my Impossible primer from Wet n Wild. Girl, this 10 out of 10. This is a dupe for this 100%. Like texture wise, no, not a dupe, but like for the effect that it gives when all your makeup is over the top, 100%, 100%. And this is like £6. So obviously like I'm super nervous at this point, like, oh, like are they gonna be able to break my waters, are they not gonna be able to? So the lady comes in, like she has a look under the hood and whatever, and to be fair, I thought it would hurt having your waters broken, but it literally didn't. So they put like a hook thing up there and they hook it, boom, pull it out, and she broke my waters. Oh, when I tell you I was so relieved that I wasn't gonna have to like spend more time just like sat there waiting to be ready for them to break my waters. I was so happy. So yeah, they managed to break my waters, happy days. And from then it was just kind of like a waiting game, kind of like see how I did myself, because obviously then your body's like, whoa, 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 we're having a baby, we're having a baby, there's no take backs now. Like, we're having a baby. So obviously my body's like getting ready for that, and pretty much like straight away I started contracting really, really well on my own. So they were super happy with that. I got the bouncy ball out and I was just chilling. I was bouncing on my ball. I was having, they do it in like increments of 10 minutes. So how many contractions you have every 10 minutes. I was having 2 contractions every 10 minutes and everything, and like it was escalating. They were like staying for longer and getting more painful, which obviously is a good sign, like that everything's happening and it's going well and smoothly. And you know, like in all honesty, they weren't that bad, the contractions. They were doable. Like basically the midwife said to me, the way you want to think about it is, can I do this pain for another hour? And you know what, I have quite a high pain threshold. I was all good in the hood. Like I was like, yeah, I can do this for another hour. I'm just bouncing on my bouncy ball, breathing through the contractions, happy days. And then like I kind of plateaued. I think I was having like 3 every 10 minutes at that point. Like I kind of plateaued. It wasn't escalating anymore. So they were like, we're gonna start you on the synthetic drug now. And at this point I was thinking in my head, I got this. Like this isn't even that painful. Like I'm bouncing on my bouncy ball. I'm like, yeah, I got this. I can pop a baby out, like no problem. And so they started me on the synthetic, and like it was all right at the beginning. Like so they like basically they put a big tube, it's a big tube, and like you have an IV and it's like slowly going into you, and they can like ramp it up or ramp it down how much it takes in. And they just started me off with like a little bit, and again my contractions, they started to get more painful and more frequent, and then they started to get really painful, really, really, really painful, really, really bad. And at this point I'm still just not on anything. I'm just got the synthetic. I've not even had gas and air. or anything. I'm on my ball, and I like discovered like I couldn't, it was funny because like in my pregnancy, lying on my side was so comfortable. In labor, it was agony. Like I could not lie on my side like at all. Like it was pure and utter agony. I couldn't do it. So I just had to sit up. So I had to do the bed. I had to get into the bed because it was then too painful for me to be on the ball anymore. Like I was in agony, and of course I still have to take my medication and everything. And so she gave me my medication, and then I was like, I would like gas and air now, please. Like I'm in pain, I need something to help me. And I think at this stage, yeah, it was still like 3-4 contractions every 10 minutes, and they were just getting like more and more painful. So I took my medication and I started on gas and air, and when I tell you I threw up, oh my god, I was in so, like, can you imagine being in so much pain you throw up? Like I literally threw up. I filled a whole, like, sorry, graphic, I filled a whole bowl, and then like she had to like really quickly like grab another one because I was holding it in, and it was like literally about to go everywhere, and she had to like quickly like swap them out, and then I nearly filled that bowl as well. Like when I tell you I threw up everything I had, I threw up everything I had. So obviously I'm in a lot of pain. I've just thrown up. I'm like, can I keep doing this? Like the whole stage I'm just like, can I keep doing this? Like I am literally in pain like I have never felt before in my entire life. So I was just there, I was sat on the bed, and I just had my gas and air, and I was just breathing with that, breathing through my contractions. And I was just thinking about it. Like I spoke to Junior, and I was like, do you think I should like take another drug? Because obviously they have a few options that you can take. And I asked, like, she's like, oh, then the midwife said actually, oh, you can take pethidine, and it's actually anti-sickness, like it helps you not be sick anymore. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, so obviously that sounded good. And at this point I was just so tired. I'd been in the hospital already for 2 nights and everything, and I'd been in pain for hours, and I just wanted to sleep. I really wanted to sleep. She said it was a drowsy drug as well, because I was trying to sleep, and every time the contractions were so painful that it would wake me up from sleeping. So she said it was like would make you drowsy as well, so that really sold it for me. And I was like, yeah, give me that pethidine. And then we ended up having a shift swap. So it changed shifts, so we got our night lady, which was amazing. There was the lady that ended up giving birth to our son, and so we swapped, and then she gave me the pethidine. And oh, I regret it. I regretted it so hard, because basically it made me really drowsy, but when they were still giving me the synthetic drug, my contractions were just getting closer and closer together and more painful. And I was having 5 contractions in 10 minutes. So I was pretty much contracting, then 30 seconds of non-pain, and then just back to pain. And this drug had made me so drowsy that I was literally like that, and then it would come and everything, and oh my god, it was horrendous. No. So at this stage, like, I was just like, what do I do? I was just like freaking out. I was like, I'm in actual agony. Like, I've never experienced anything like this. I'm in terrible pain. I'm tired, and I just want my baby. And obviously, like, I've seen my mum and my aunts have cesareans, and like, honestly, it was just the last thing on earth that I wanted. I just really didn't want one. I was like super upset. And obviously when you have an epidural, it increases your chance, oh, my shoulder peeking out, of having one. But I was just like, you know what, like, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. So I was like, give me that epidural. Give me that epidural ASAP. Like, I can't do this anymore. So it was by this time, because obviously the shift change happened, it was a different anesthesiologist. I said that word, period. And yeah, I nearly punched her in the face. I'm not gonna lie to you. She was just very inconsiderate of how much pain I was in, after adamantly telling her already that, like, I could not lie on my side. Like, on my side was not happening. Like, it was agony for me lying on my side. She was like, lie on your side and I'll give you the injection, blah blah and stuff. And I tried, and I just couldn't do it. And obviously I'm in agony. I've got a massive baby bump. I have a very big chest and everything, and I'm contracting like basically non-stop. And I'm in absolute agony and I'm bone tired, and this lady's just, honestly, she was not it. She was not the one. She was not cute or whatever. And so like I'm sat up now and she's trying to give it to me, and she's telling me to bend over, like bend over more, bend over more. And I'm like, I can't bend over more, like I physically can't. And she's like, come on, and she's pushing me and pushing me, and oh my god, like I snapped at her literally. I was like, I physically can't bend over anymore. And like she's trying to give me the epidural, she's trying to give me the injection, and she gets it in the wrong place, so she has to do it again and everything. And honestly, I know people are just trying to do their jobs and stuff, but I've never ever wanted to hit a member of staff more in my entire life. So she finally gets it in and then like totters off and stuff, and I'm like, I never want to see this woman ever again in my life. I don't want to catch her on road. And so like they give like epidurals in like, I guess like 2 lots. So they'll give you like the first, and it's like a bag, and it's down your back. And obviously at this point as well, I'd had a catheter put in, because when you have an epidural you lose like basically most of the feeling below your waist, so obviously you can't control like your peeing and stuff. So I had that put in and everything, and pretty much ready to go now. And finally it kicked in. It pretty much kicks in straight away, and oh, the pain relief, oh my god, it was a godsend. And I was literally finally able to sleep and stuff, and I slept for, I think it was like 4 hours. I literally slept for 4 hours and everything, and they just had me hooked up to everything, and like they won't actually had to wake me up. They were like, we've got to do your check now, so we've got to wake you up. And I was actually so happy that I had that sleep, because honestly like later on it just really helped give me just the energy I needed to push, and obviously to be able to look after a baby straight away. So yeah, so she woke me up and she gave me my check, and she was like, are we ready to go? Like, we're ready to start pushing. And I was like, what? And Junior was actually asleep as well, and I was like, Junior, the baby's coming, it's time. And he was like, can I have 10 more minutes? I was like, no, the baby's coming. And he's like, what? And I'm like, the baby's coming. He's like, now? I'm like, now, like we need to push, like now. And he's like, what? Honestly, it was the funniest thing. He will never ever live that down. Like, can I just have 10 more minutes? Like I was like waking him up in the morning or something. It was honestly too funny. So yeah, so obviously like they have to go get the doctor and everything just to like check everything's okay, and we were literally all good to go and everything. And then like we started pushing basically. Oh my god, even thinking about it now like gets me excited. Like I was just so excited to meet my baby. Like I'd had some sleep, I wasn't in pain. I could still like feel my legs, but I just wasn't in pain anymore, which obviously is the key thing. Like my course of epidural I just had, like the drug was starting to wear off, so I could actually feel my contractions, which she said was helpful, because then I knew when to push. Like when I was having a contraction, that was the time to push like really hard. So obviously like it's happening, I'm pushing, so you have to like go and then hold your breath and really push. So I was just doing that. Like it felt like 10 minutes to me. Junior says it was longer. He said I was pushing for like 25 minutes. And obviously so I'm pushing, and I literally go to her, like, cause obviously like I was really big baby, basically I got stuck and I nearly died. And she's like, oh, like I can see his head and stuff. I'm like, is he gonna fit? And she just looks at me and she's like, yeah. And I was like, oh my god. And like obviously I'm just like, the elevation and the relief that I'm not gonna have to have a cesarean, like I'm gonna have a vaginal birth, just made me like so happy. I was literally over the moon, and like I was more than happy to push my hardest. Junior said it was so funny because you could tell I was like pushing so hard, like my face had gone bright red and everything, and you could just tell that I was just like really going for it. And so like it's funny because I could literally feel him like coming out, and then I'd like breathe again and slooping back in and stuff. And so I'm just there pushing, and then he comes out and they literally put him on me straight away. And oh my god, when like it was one of those things, I like I didn't cry, I like dry cried. I was just like, oh my god, it was just like so overwhelming. It was just like so much to take in. Like my baby was finally here, he was finally in my arms. Like I hadn't had to have a cesarean, I'd had sleep, and I was just so happy. Like I think it's probably like the happiest moment like I will ever experience in my life. And then like suddenly everything I'd gone through, being sick, like the bad experiences and everything, was just suddenly all completely worth it. And you know what was so funny was like I ended up with so many people in the room when I gave birth. Like they all wanted to come see us have our baby, which was so beautiful and so lovely. I ended up with like 5 people in the room, and they were all like holding my hands and stuff. Obviously I do know on one side I had someone on my knees just like helping me push my knees back, and everyone was just like, push, like come on, you could do it, push, push, push. And it was honestly just the cutest thing ever. So obviously then I have my son on my chest. I have like a midwife, sorry, helping me like just bring him to my chest, obviously because I'm breastfeeding, and just like help him latch on and everything. Like she really helped me. She really got in there and just put him on it and everything, and he's just there like feeding away and stuff. And I honestly just can't put it into words. Like it's just like a feeling on a whole new level. Like it was just suddenly all worth it, and my baby was finally here, and it just like didn't really feel real. It was like super surreal. So obviously then like Junior cuts the cord, he cut the umbilical cord and everything, and I'm too distracted with my baby. Like obviously I had the thing where it makes you give birth to the afterbirth quicker. Honestly, that whole thing was a haze, so I'm surprised I even remember that much, that I agreed to that and everything. But yeah, I said yes. I said to her like, what do you recommend? Do you recommend having it or not having it? And it just basically makes it come quicker. So yeah, when I'm holding my baby, obviously that's all happening down there. Like I don't even remember it. I don't even remember feeling anything or nothing. So obviously like I feed him because obviously no milk's coming out really yet, like, and everything. It's just to kind of like make your body register that like, you know, we're having a baby and we're gonna have to feed him soon and whatever. And then Junior ends up taking him with one of the midwives, and like they like weigh him and everything, and like Junior gets him dressed and like gives him a hold and gives him a cuddle, and I'm just chilling there. I'm pretty good. They're just doing all the checks on me, making sure that I'm okay and everything. And then basically when Isaiah came out, he pooed all over me. He did his first poo real quick, and he literally pooped all over me. Like it was everywhere. So they were like, oh, like if you can stand, like obviously like come have a shower and everything. And I pretty much got up. I stood up completely fine and everything. I had a shower while Junior like held him, and then I came out and obviously like received him again. They're just doing like all the checks, all the normal stuff on like me and him, just making sure that we're all okay and perfectly healthy. So basically, because I had gestational diabetes, what they have to do is they have to check his blood pressure, and obviously by his I mean Isaiah's blood pressure. So they check, not his blood pressure, sorry, check his sugar levels, because it's quite often sometimes that babies can be born with low blood sugar when the mum has gestational diabetes, and unfortunately that's what happened to us. So obviously at this stage I've had a shower, I've been taken to my room, I've been told that my baby has low blood sugar, but obviously I don't really know what that means at that stage. So yeah, we're taken to like our like the aftercare room. I can't remember, like postpartum unit, that's it. So we're there, and then suddenly like there's 3 midwives, and we're having to take your baby away. And I was just like, what? Like, what do you mean you're gonna take my baby away? And obviously, and then and it just all hits me, and I'm just streaming, my eyes are streaming, and they're saying to me they have to put him under the warmer because he's got low blood sugar. He's shaking because he's cold. He can't keep himself warm because he doesn't have enough energy in his body. And obviously I'm just there, I'm crying, I'm streaming, and they're taking my baby away from me, and they put him in this little thing, and they're weaning him off, and they're like, the NICU, he has to go to the NICU, the neonatal unit, and they're like, oh, like it's open 24/7, like you can be there with him the whole time and everything. And oh my god, that feeling, just like when she took my baby out my arms, I don't think I'll ever forget that. Like I think I'm gonna be the most overprotective mom ever just because someone took my baby away from me on that day. But no, so obviously like we followed them straight away to the NICU and everything, and he was just like under this little warmer and everything, and obviously like he was a fine weight. He was like, I think just above average for his weight, so he was completely fine. It was just his blood sugar, and obviously that he was then, because of a result of that, he was cold. So obviously then he's in the NICU, and oh, it's just like an ordeal and everything, and they have to heel prick him all the time, bless him. And obviously like heel prick, like they have to draw blood and test his blood sugar, and he's just absolutely like hating that. He hates it. Like he's only like kind of just now like got over having his feet touched, and that it's okay for people to touch his feet. And yeah, so like there's all these tiny babies in the NICU, and then there's just like my average sized baby. Like he made them look so dinky and so small. And obviously like he needs energy. When you're a first time mom, like it can take a while for your breast milk to come in, so they're like, can we give him formula? Like he needs the energy, and obviously without even slight hesitation, I'm just like, yes, just give it to him, to give him whatever he needs to be okay. Like I'm not trying to hold onto this like, oh, you know, like I'm just breastfeeding him, he can't have any formula. I'm like, if he needs it, just give it to him, just give it to him, like 100%. And like I came and I breastfed him all the time as well, like made him latch on and stuff, and he was in there for probably about 24 hours. And basically like the doctors will all come round. It's like so cute. They come round, all of the doctors that work in the NICU, there's like 6 of them, like 7 of them, and they come round and they assess every baby, and you have to sit there with headphones on that play the radio while they like talk about the other babies. And then obviously if you're there and they're talking about your baby, you can take them off. And then eventually he was able, like, because he was on a sugar drip as well, he was eventually able to like sustain his own sugar level without help. So obviously that was great. So he came off that, and then finally he was discharged, and we were able to take him back to our room with us. Happy days. Then we're just like feeding him, we're looking after him and everything, and it's all going pretty well. Like he's still now a good sleeper. He's pretty much always been a good sleeper. Like he wakes up like twice in the night, and that's about it. And that's literally been pretty much it from day one, from that day. And obviously like when you're in that room, you have people with other babies in it, and oh my gosh, some of the babies were just crying. I felt so bad for the parents and so bad for the baby, because he just wanted milk, and obviously his mom's milk wasn't coming in fast enough, and he just wanted milky. And obviously our son was having at this point a mixture of breast and formula, just so he could like help him kind of like get better and get his blood sugar up. So basically it's like standard practice to like obviously like when we got our baby back, it had already been one night, but it was standard practice just like observe you looking after your baby for a night, like to stay in for another night. So we did that, and obviously they saw that we were pretty capable, that we looked after him like completely fine. Like they just wanted us to like stay a little bit, because we just had to like have his hearing checked and have all that kind of stuff checked. So we did, and then basically while he was in the NICU, they noticed that he was having like a bit of trouble latching on and everything, so they wanted us to see the breastfeeding specialist. So we basically had to wait to see her, and then we did see her, and in the NICU as well, they'd given me a breast shield. So this is gonna get real personal right here, but I have quite small nipples, and he was struggling getting a good latch on my small nipples. So the shield kind of like is like a faux nipple, it like things onto it, and it's got like a little teat, and so that was just like helping him latch on and stuff. So they just wanted to check everything was okay and that I was like happy doing that and everything. So she came, like she watched him feed and everything, like she talked to us for ages and made sure that everything was okay and that we were comfortable with what was going on. And so we thought we were gonna go home. We thought finally like we're gonna go home, like happy days. They seemed happy with us, they seemed all good. Like I really wasn't worried about him, like he was fine, like he wasn't crying hysterically or anything, like he seemed all good. And then they were like, we're keeping you in for another night. And I was like, what? Like, we got someone from the NICU came and like they got his blood work back and he was all good. Like, I was like, we should be going home. And at this point I started crying. I was just like, June, like, I just want to go home. Like, my mom's at home waiting for us. Like, I just want to go home. I just want to sleep in my own bed. I just like want to be at home with my baby. And then so basically like Junior decides to like take things into his own hands. He's like, I'm gonna speak to someone, like, we're going home. I feel like we're ready to go home. He feels like we're ready to go home. Like, we just didn't want to be there anymore. So like he goes and speaks to them and everything, and then she comes and they're like, oh, we're keeping you in because we're concerned about his feeding. I'm like, but we've just seen the breastfeeding specialist. Like, we're all good. Like, my mom's at home. Like, I'm really not worried about like me feeding him and everything. And obviously like I'm crying my eyes out, and she's like, oh, like, we all love you, like, here and everything. Like, you're so lovely. Like, all of like the girls, because she was like a head midwife, all the girls, like, they all want to be like your friend and everything. They all love you and say that you're so lovely and that you're such like a pleasure to be around and stuff. And she's like, look, like, let me go talk to some people and see what I can do and everything, and see if I can get you home tonight. And luckily, like, she did go and speak to some people and we did end up going home finally, thank God, because honestly, like, it was hot. Like, it was like a little heat wave that was going on, and it was so hot in the hospital. And just like being in like a little dingy curtained room, like full of other people in the like other little dingy curtained areas and stuff, I just really just wanted to go home. I was just done. So we got to take him home and everything in his little cute little outfit and stuff. So yeah, this is the finished look, and as this is all at home, happy, healthy. He's 2.5 months now. Yeah, well, he's 10 weeks. Yeah, he's 10 weeks now. And yeah, he's been a little angel. He's been ill, he's had his jabs and stuff. Like, some nights are hard and some are better than others, but if you ever want to talk to me or anything, please always feel free, fellow moms, that you can talk to me. Or even if you're someone that's thinking about having a baby, please don't hesitate to reach out. Like, I'm always there for a chat, I'm always there for a conversation, I'm always there for a hoorah and moral support. But I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you like the look. I'm super happy with how it turned out. I'm thinking looking cute and whatever. I'm gonna go make dinner looking pretty. But I hope you have a great day, afternoon, brunch, lunch, or whatever it is, wherever you are, guys. Bye, guys. Mwah. Breathe. Excuse me, sir, can you stop farting?